Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm taking a look at Seth Klarman and his portfolio at the end of the second quarter 2022. This is some of my favorite times of the year when the 13F filings are coming out. So we get to see what some of our favorite super investors have done in the previous quarter, what stocks they sold, what ones they bought, and which ones they continue to hold in their portfolio. And Seth Klarman is one of my favorite super investors to follow. In fact, I really like how he sets up his portfolio. Now, he has around 50 stocks in his portfolio, which seems like a lot on the surface. Keep in mind that he manages over $6 billion worth of funds. So that is a huge portfolio. And really, his top 5 positions are almost 50% of his entire portfolio. So even though he has a lot of stocks in his portfolio, he's still a concentrated portfolio manager in my perspective overall. And a lot of stocks he has might be like 2 or 3%, but those bigger ones may be 7, 8, 9, 10% overall. So we're going to take a look. He actually sold 6 stocks in the quarter, and he bought 3 new stocks, which one of them I found pretty interesting overall. So we'll dig into that a little bit more. If this is the first video you watched of mine, my name is Justin. I'm an accountant by day. I've been an accountant for almost 20 years now. Recently, I transitioned to be in financial planning analysis, so more on the finance side of things. And so hopefully through that, my experience and my foundation in accounting and finance, I can bring value to you guys on research I do and just different aspects from that point of view. So let's look at Seth Klarman now. And like I said, he holds 50 stocks in his portfolio. And let's first take a look at his 5 top holdings in his portfolio. So Liberty Global is about 16% of his portfolio. Corvo is around 10%. Viasat is around 7%. Liberty Sirius XM is 7%. And Veritiv Corporation is around 5%. And I gotta say, to be completely honest, I don't know much about these 5 companies. I should probably dig into them to kind of figure out more about them. These are not really 5 stocks I see a lot in other people's portfolios. Corvo I've certainly seen before, but I don't know a ton about them. So I might be doing more research in the future on that. Now let's take a look at the 6 stocks that he sold out of. And the first one is Avanti Acquisition, ticker symbol AVAN. The second one is Post Holdings, ticker symbol POST. The third one is Altimeter Growth Corporation, ticker symbol AGCB. The fourth one is Dragoneer Growth Opportunities Corporation, ticker symbol DGNU. Joby Aviation, ticker symbol JOBY. And then the last one is SVF Investment Corporation, ticker symbol SVF. And again, I don't know a lot about these positions or these companies. Now, I've seen Joby Aviation. In fact, I did some research on that company several months ago. But the other ones I really have not heard of. So kind of interesting. He doesn't seem to be a super investor or value investor that kind of follows the crowd in a lot of ways, which I also like about Seth Klarman overall. So now let's take a look at the 3 positions that he bought. And again, one of them I thought was really interesting. So the smallest position of the 3 was Amazon. So it's almost 1% of his portfolio. Amazon did take a dive in the second quarter. That is a stock I thought about actually buying, and Amazon is probably, if they're not the best, they're certainly one of the best in the world at allocating their cash by investing in other companies. In fact, it came out just here in the last week or so that they're buying iRobot Corporation. iRobot, I believe, is the #1 in their space as far as vacuum cleaners go. Those are the ones that are kind of go on their own. They have sensors on them. You don't have to push them around. They just press a button and they just kind of go around and pick stuff up and then come back. So I ended up buying that company. And that company, I think, was up about 20% the day that acquisition was announced overall. So that's another company they're going to bring into the fold. And if you look at any of the 10Qs or the 10Ks, it'll blow your mind. At least it blew my mind on how many companies Amazon owns. I mean, you don't even think about some of the products that you use today that they're owned by Amazon, like Ring Doorbell, for example. I mean, it's just, the list goes on and on and on. It's pretty incredible. So he did buy that company, almost 1% of his portfolio. The second one is New Oriental Education and Technology, ticker symbol EDU. It's around 2.5% of his portfolio. So for me, if he's buying over 2%, in his portfolio, that is a decent size buy for him. So he obviously thinks highly of this company. In fact, I would say maybe he thinks maybe it's undervalued by double as much because he bought more of that than he did Amazon. Educational or New Oriental Education and Technology Company is a Chinese company. They focus on private education, and that stock has been completely hammered. It went from about $185 a share down to $25 a share. So absolutely decimated. And this one was really surprising to me he bought in, because the research I did on this industry is like completely stay away from it, because the government's going in there and really putting a stamp, the CCP is, and really trying to control that industry quite a bit. Even more so, say, than like an Alibaba or Tencent or some of those other tech companies. So that really surprised me that he bought into the company, and 2.5%. Now, if he would have bought in and it was like a quarter, or not a quarter, but it was like quarter of 1%, so like 0.25% of his portfolio, probably won't think very much of it, but 2.5%, that's a decent size. Now, the biggest position of the buys that he made is Warner Brothers Discovery. And this one really surprised me, around 3.5%, almost 4%. It's like 3.7% of his portfolio. So I would consider this a large buy for Seth Klarman. And I like Warner Brothers Discovery. In fact, it is a stock that I personally own. This is a company where Warner Media spun off AT&T. It was officialized in April, I believe. And then they combined with Discovery. So they're called Warner Brothers Discovery. And, when I look at it, it looks like they are incredibly undervalued, just because, from, investor presentations, what they've been saying, they think they can do anywhere from, 12 to $14 billion in EBITDA here in the next, couple of years, which is a lot of money. The downside risk to Warner Brothers is they have a ton of debt. This is a company that took on $40 billion of debt from Warner Media, come from AT&T. They had to sell more shares. They had to go into additional more debt, part of that merger. So they're sitting on like $50 billion of debt, which is no small feat to make up. So they are trying to pay off their debt. I think they're paying off around $6 billion this year. So they need to continue to do that, but they have the largest legacy portfolio of content for streaming that is out there, which is very impressive. Warner Media, I believe, is the second largest company in the world as far as movie and films and that sort of thing. So it'll be interesting as they synergize or harmonize these companies and trying to hopefully get the best they can out of Warner Media, because AT&T was not able to do that. HBO, I think, is really, I won't say an X factor, but I think it is one of the best pieces of that deal coming over. And they are gaining subscribers, which is good, where you look at maybe Netflix is taking a dip in that. But I think all the streaming companies right now, from Paramount to Netflix to Warner Brothers, they look pretty cheap. Just in general, that whole segment of the market has just been beaten down like crazy overall. But that one's very interesting. So that is his portfolio in a nutshell. He did sell or reduce some stocks, added some others, so I won't go through that, but I'll put a link down in the description below to Dataroma. That's where I actually pulled his information and his 13F from. Now keep in mind that if you look at Dataroma, that is only stocks on the American Stock Exchange. So if he owns stocks on other exchanges, Hong Kong Exchange or European Exchange or Australian Exchange, it's not going to show up there. But I think this is at least the majority of the stocks that he does own. So if he owns stocks outside the American Stock Exchange, throw those down in the comment section below. Help us out and let us know if he owns other ones. That'd be great to hear. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If there's another super investor that you want me to do a video on, throw it down in the comment section as well. I read every single one of those. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and God bless.